Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Andini Amaylia Putri from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. First thing first, I would like to say thank you for the opportunities that has been given to me to present my paper with the title EFL Students' Perception on the Use of Debate in Speaking Classroom. Without any further ado, I would like to start the presentation with the background of this study. Indonesian EFL learners have been studying English for several years, but when it comes to speaking, they didn't seem to have developed good fluency. They were passive in speaking, especially if the teacher asked them about their opinion and responding on another's opinion because they didn't know how to deliver their opinion or their arguments. This all has something to do with their speaking fluency. Speaking fluency is defined as the use of language quickly and confidently with limited hesitations and unnatural pauses. The lack of speaking fluency tends to make communication unsuccessful because sometimes the recipient doesn't understand the message since the interaction is interrupted by a lot of pauses and hesitations. Additionally, speaking fluency become a goal for EFL language learner. However, Indonesian EFL learners are mostly still have difficulty in the communicative interactions. The students were trying to speak but then got stuck in the middle because they cannot deliver their ideas in English. In consequence, they chose to use their native language to continue delivering their ideas. In the researcher's point of view, this is when fluency is needed. Even when learners having hard time to deliver their ideas while speaking, they can still speak the sentence with some fluency. However, in developing fluency, there must be a supporting activity which has some specific feature, such as the activity should focus on meaning, it should contain students' previous activity, and should be challenging for students. By challenging meaning, the activity should trigger students' hard work. It can be obtained through arranging limited time and pressure. Those characteristics exist in debate. Therefore, applying debate as a technique in enhancing students' speaking fluency might help the students in giving response to another's opinion. Debate is an effective pedagogical technique because of the level of responsibility for learning and active involvement by all students. Thus, it could be one of the ways to help students in enhancing their speaking fluency. The focus of this study mainly on the use of debate in enhancing students' speaking fluency and how it is being perceived by the students in speaking classroom. Most of the previous studies focused on the implementation of debate in senior high school level. In this study, the researcher chose to further investigate students' perception toward the use of debate in EFL speaking classroom. It is important to investigate students' perceptions in order to make an improvement in the selected learning method. Thus, this research is expected to find out university students' perceptions toward the use of debate and how much it helps their speaking fluency. After investigating the students' perceptions, the adjustment can be made in order to contribute to make an improvement on students' speaking ability. This study used survey method to make descriptive analysis through questionnaire and interview. Moving on to the research questions of the study. This study is conducted to answer these questions. The first one, how are the EFL students' perception toward the use of debate in enhancing speaking fluency? The second, how does debate help the EFL students in enhancing speaking fluency? And now to the research methodology of this study. This is a descriptive qualitative study which employs survey and interview as instruments to collect the data. The study used the convenience sampling as the source of the data. The data were presented in the form of descriptive analysis. To commence the study, the researcher distributed the questionnaire to a speaking classroom in one university in Bandung. As for the site and participants, the study focused on one speaking classroom which had 16 students with the same major. This class was chosen because the students had already experienced English debate when they were in the 5th semester. The number of respondents for each instruments, questionnaire and interviews, are different. As for the questionnaire, there are 10 respondents, meanwhile for the interview, there are 5 respondents. For the data collection, due to the global pandemic COVID-19, the researcher could not collect the data directly. Hence, the researcher distributed the questionnaire to the students by using the Google form. The questionnaire was adapted from Wulandari 2017. It was distributed in one section. The researcher used 10 close-ended statements in which the students had to choose whether they agree, strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree based on their experience on using debate as a tactic, whether it is affecting their speaking fluency or not. The Likert scale was used to measure respondents' answer. As for the interview, the researcher decided to use it as a second tool to further analyze the respondents' answers in the questionnaire to get a clear opinion or information and to avoid misunderstanding. Furthermore, the researcher obtained the data from the interview by using voice note. Meanwhile, for the interview, the researcher used question lists as a guideline to keep the plot of the interview still on track. Now to the data analysis. For the questionnaire, the researcher analyzed the data by checking the respondents' answer one by one. The researcher figured it out how many students chose the 4 options: agree, strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree, to illustrate how debate affecting their speaking fluency. Therefore, the researcher analyzed the respondents' answer by using Wulandari 2017 questionnaire formula. Then the researcher made a description analysis based on each statement from the questionnaire after calculating the percentage results. In addition, the researcher used interview to further investigate the respondents' answer from the questionnaire to get a clear opinion or information of the students' perception. The interview consists of 9 open-ended questions. The data from the interview will be analyzed and transcribed to describe the findings. The researcher used voice note to obtain the data and saving them in order to make a transcript, and using a question list as a guideline to keep the plot of the interview still on track. And now to the findings and discussions. The findings from questionnaire and interview indicate that students have positive, negative, and neutral perception about the use of debate. To answer the research question number 1, how are the EFL students' perception toward the use of debate in enhancing speaking fluency? The first one, I got the positive perceptions. Debate boosts students' motivation. Debate improves students' fluency. That's for the positive perception. And for the negative perception, difficulty in expressing ideas and time constraint. And now we look up into the questionnaire results of students' perception, whether they are enjoying the practice of debate in the class or not. 7 students say that they are agreed with the statements that said they enjoy the debate activities because it does help them in improving their speaking ability. Meanwhile, the 2 of them disagreed and 1 of them say strongly disagree. This is also supported by the results of the interview. 1 student said, "I'm sure there are a lot of good methods out there. There are more effective than debate. But in my opinion, debate can be used as an alternative to improve speaking skills." And for the questionnaire results of students' opinions, whether they need more time to prepare the arguments or outlines before the debate begins, 8 students strongly agreed with the statement. They say that they need more time to prepare the outlines before delivering the arguments or statements. Meanwhile, the 2 of them chose disagree. This is also supported by the results of the interview. 1 student said, "When the opponent gives an argument which is difficult for us and we don't prepare the data, that is the major difficulty in the debate itself." 1 student added their opinion regarding to the implementation of debate. She said, "Personally, I feel nothing has changed. Maybe one thing that changes is my confidence level. That is all. During the debate, I felt more confident when speaking compared to the number of times I spoke before. But I do not feel a great change or effect from the debate activity to my speaking ability. But yeah, I had fun experience debate in speaking classroom." To sum up the findings, the majority of the students say that they couldn't speak fluently due to the lack of opportunity for them to speak English outside of the class. Sometimes the students are afraid if their opinion is not very helpful whenever someone asks their perspectives regarding to a problem. That is what makes them even more hesitant to express their opinion. Through debate, they have the opportunity to practice their speaking fluency, especially in a formal context that needs a proper preparation because it is different from a casual conversation which can happen anytime. In debate, the students felt that their personal opinions are needed. They are required to stand firm to their opinion regardless of their fear that their opinion is not going to make any changes. Also, they have to deliver their opinions out loud in front of others. Those things help the students to share their opinion verbally without worrying about other things but their opinion. Second one, debate helps students to overcome their anxiety. Some students say that they had several problems that can influence their speaking fluency. One of them is speaking anxiety. They are worried about making errors, especially grammatical errors. Whenever students felt anxious, the things that they are going to say cannot be accepted well. Actually, anxiety is not a new thing in EFL students' context. Some EFL students feel extremely anxious because they found it quite difficult to control their nerves. Those facts are clearly affecting their speaking performance, and the outcomes very often become a mess. Through debate, some of the students say it helping them to control their anxiety because there are few practices before the debate began. At that time, they learn to deliver their arguments in front of their teammates, which have a good impact for their anxiety problem. They are getting used to that kind of activity, so when the time has come for them to speak in front of the class as their team's representative, they can overcome their anxiety problem slowly but surely. The third one, debate improves students' confidence. Some students say beside of speaking anxiety, the other problem is it is difficult for them to deliver their arguments, thoughts, or ideas in front of others because their friends won't judge them even when they sometimes made a mistake. They are afraid if their friends will judge them if they are making even a slight mistake. So, from debate, students will gain confidence if they are managed to handle various communication situations that they might encounter at any time. And for the last one, debate makes students prepare speech systematically. The responses from the interview section show that debate also helped the students to make an outlines before speaking, as the fact that speaker could generate their ideas by start writing an outline. Some of the students argued that they need to prepare an accurate data to support their arguments. They cannot just talk without serving the evidence toward their arguments. If they are doing that, it opens a huge chance for the opposite team to attack their team. Therefore, the students wrote an outline to help them in delivering their arguments comfortably. They also made some points to signify the main idea of their arguments. The students believe that by showing some data to the audience, it can make them agree on their team's argument. With an outline, they get a support system to speak fluently in front of others without any fear. Coming up to the conclusion, the result of this study showed that the students believe through debate they can improve their speaking fluency, as the majority of the students shared the same opinion about this. After experiencing the debate, some students claim that it can help them in overcoming their anxiety, nervousness, and the lack of confidence in speaking. Based on students' perceptions, they agreed that debate can be one of the methods which can help them enhance their speaking fluency. That is all from me. I would like to apologize for the mistakes that I have made during the presentations. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.